The Buddha summarized the journey to enlightenment as a process of death, sacrifice, and birth. So these are the essential aspects that comprise the complete Dharma. My presentation, Meditation and the Eight Limbs of Yoga, explains more specifically the 8 yogic practices that are required for enlightenment. The Buddhist equivalent, the Noble Eightfold Path, can also be found in my playlist, The Eightfold Path. So death refers to the dying away and cleansing of the ego or khandhas. These are the psychological aggregates or defects that abide within the dimensions of samsara. Sacrifice also refers to service. Monks on the elemental or Svavakayana path are not required to provide vast amounts of service to others for the attainment of enlightenment, since their focus is on self-purification. So they are able to find liberation through the renunciation of all mental attachments and aversions. And consequently, they don't develop very much bodhicitta, however. Birth refers to the development of solar bodies. This step is only necessary when following the 2 higher paths to liberation, right? The Mahayana and the Tantrayana or Vajrayana. Since this talk is for lay people, Buddhists, and Gnostics, your routine can have a lot more flexibility than the kinds of routines you find in monasteries. New students have to go through a period of study in order to fully understand the Dharma before they can carry out the work, because they really need to know exactly what the Dharma is and how to do the work fully. Some schools recommend an hour of study of scripture, but many scriptures today are in the form of a translated book, English translated books. And many countless books have been misinterpreted and altered and tailored for the modern secular person, especially for secular Buddhists. So for this reason, it would be best to find a non-profit Gnostic or Buddhist organization that provides authentic teachings of the doctrine. A Buddhist temple or monastery is a great place to learn Buddhism. You can, like, as a monastic, or if you're staying there for a period, studying completely on YouTube and watching videos from an ordained Buddhist monk is also a great way to learn. As for Gnostic groups, Gnosis London of Canada, Glorian, and Chicago Gnosis are just a few great organizations you can turn to. But most major cities will have at least one organization that you can visit for weekly lectures. So I highly recommend that as well, because their information is so comprehensive and thorough. If you're using YouTube, I recommend that you watch at least one lesson per day, preferably from an ordained monk or a very serious Gnostic, because there are so many spiritual people out there who claim to be experts or who seem to be experts, and they're really just giving you the most sporadic information out there, which ends up being very incomplete, because you're getting this education that's not from the ground up. They might be talking about the most advanced things, advanced principles or theories, scripts that are happening out there in the world related to extraterrestrials, and you don't even know how karma works yet or how reincarnation works. And they're talking about how the moon is occupied by aliens, it's hollow, and it's keeping us trapped in a reincarnation cycle. All this stuff that is just way too advanced for someone who's new. We need a foundational, like newcomers, I should say, need a foundational understanding, a comprehensive education, learning about the most fundamental things first, right? Karma, liberation, transmigration, reincarnation, things like that. But this is doable even for people who work overtime or go to school. So to watch a lesson per day is pretty doable. Keep doing this until you've learned the most essential principles of the Dharma. It can take anywhere from 1 month to 1 year before you know the fundamentals. 1 month seems like a short amount of time, but I mean, if you really study intently for a few hours a day, you can learn pretty much all the basics in a month. It's possible. If you smart read and you just, and you have, you know how to pick the right lectures from the Gnostic groups or the Buddhist groups. Yeah, depending on how long the videos or lectures are. Public Gnostic lectures tend to be an hour and a half long, but they provide enormous information, really essential stuff. YouTube videos for monks tend to be a little bit shorter, ranging between 12 minutes and 45 minutes. So that's a great start. If you can do that every day, 15 to 30 minutes a day, you're on the right track. As for energy, this is essential as well. Students should try their best to conserve their energy as much as they can. Because our modern society has found innumerable perverse ways of squandering that energy. Through energy drinks, coffee, drinking, gambling, video games, pornography, and masturbation, casual sex with multiple partners, and just our everyday emotions too, anxiety and anger. Those are really intense emotions that are so rigorous and rough on your vital body. It drains you when you get anxious all the time, when you're angry all the time. You get drained and tired from that. So, but we're of course working at our personal level, and we're new, some of us. So these activities need to be regulated in our own way. And eventually we're regulating these activities so that eventually they can be renounced. You don't have to go cold turkey because that's too hard. So just take it in steps at your own pace. You don't need more than one girlfriend or boyfriend. You don't need to gamble when you have a day job. You don't need social media all the time. So first and foremost, we begin by transmuting our energy by renouncing the orgasm. This is the biggest waste of human energy that we entertain. If you can do sexual thoughts, even better, because we waste energy from the thoughts as well. I've already done a number of talks about sexual transmutation. In my lecture, Non-Negotiable Karma, Destiny, and Forgiveness, I explain one way to gradually reduce your orgasm frequency until you finally stop altogether. You can find it at 3 minutes, 39 seconds in that lecture. But I'll be redoing this as well. I'll be redoing that lecture, so that time will be different for the newer video. As you work on this, you should incorporate at least 10 minutes of pranayama daily. Pranayama or Dumo breathing. It's ideal to perform this in the morning and before bed, since the etheric body needs prana at night in order to rejuvenate during sleep. Because the body rejuvenates and heals during sleep. That's how we restart all the systems, including, that's how we build muscle in our sleep. And we get the energy from the atmosphere and the sun, but we're getting it in our sleep. This modern humanity is very weak energetically. Not necessarily physically. I'm always talking energetically, typically. So pranayama is a practice that can be done anytime, as much as you please. The most basic way of doing it is just holding your breath. You don't have to do alternate nostril breathing all the time. That's just good for balancing and clearing the nadis. And of course, there's an explanation on how to do pranayama, not in this lecture, but I will say that you hold your breath and you must, of course, do this cognizantly. You have to be, in everything we do, we have to be mindful, meaning that you're aware that you are the one doing something or seeing something. So you can't just be focused on the thing itself. You have to be aware that you're the one focusing on it. That's self-awareness. Do it cognizantly, and you have to imagine the energy in some form, like a light or a vapor, because I like to imagine ether as a vapor, because prana really does look like that. In the internal worlds, if you look at prana from other people, beings, you look at it in your own body, sometimes you can see it. It usually takes some concentration before you can actually see it, before it manifests, but it looks like a kind of gelatinous, vaporous, electric blue substance, like a smoke, like a vapor. It's very cool. It's quite beautiful, actually. So you can imagine that rising up your spine when you're doing this. In fact, it actually goes up the spine and it comes off the top of your head and circulates back in this front flip loop into your brow chakra. So it accumulates, it does this loop and it goes into your brow chakra, back into your system, and it accumulates into your brain. And I learned this recently in meditation. This is what your ribs are for. It diffuses through your ribs. It collects and diffuses through your ribs into the rest of your body. So it goes up the spine, goes into your brow, and it diffuses in your ribs. It subsides in your brain and your heart, diffuses through your ribs and the rest of your body. It's fascinating. So try to imagine that intensely and it will be more effective. If you don't do this with the concentration, it will be useless. Your breath holding will do very little. Another important factor is the kind of job you have. I don't recommend construction work except for some cleaning jobs because just manual labor can be very physically exhausting, often demanding more than, especially with construction, they might ask for more than 8-hour days from you, 10 or 13-hour days. And it's almost always full-time work. Unless you're doing third-party labor work, construction is almost always full-time, 5 or 6 days a week. Young people can afford to work full-time like this. They can use up that energy typically. But again, not necessarily because of fornication. If you're older, say around your mid-30s or mid-40s, then try to work less. That can be better. Try to work, around 30 or 35 hours a week just to save your energy and also to do more Dharma, to do more service. I will add that whenever you find yourself in need of more hours or a change in position, your being is there to help, and they will help you in the most efficient way. Nature takes the path of least resistance. So if you ever think you need a second job, your innermost will first utilize the resources you currently have and adjust your work environment and your shifts, your schedule rather, to suit your needs. You will be amazed when you find yourself noticing many of your coworkers dropping off the schedule to take care of sudden events and responsibilities as a result of your being providing you with more hours. That's just how it works because there's just nothing that ever comes free in life. So if you're getting more hours, somebody else is losing hours. That's always how it is. And I find that it tends to be somebody within your vicinity or associated with you for some reason. It tends to be in some kind of karmic family as opposed to somebody in some other part of the world. And we also expend a lot of energy when we're stressed. I mentioned this before. So just getting into that a little bit, anger and anxiety is the same stress response we experience together or separate. We really need to work hard at keeping our body and mind relaxed. It takes effort. This is through moment-to-moment mindfulness. We have to go easy in the body. We're so used to rough handling ourselves and we don't realize it. You will cultivate serenity this way, and mindfulness should be practiced not as a meditation, a mindfulness meditation, 5 minutes in the morning or whatever it is, because mindfulness is not meditation. Mindfulness is a practice for concentration. It is preliminary to train your mind to be focused so that you can meditate. So really, real mindfulness is a state of mind that we should have constantly from moment to moment, 24/7. Moment to moment self-awareness, cognizance, learning to stop rushing and doing things automatically without realizing that you're doing something, learning to stop having conversations with people or watching TV and just getting completely consumed by the plot line or completely lost in the person's facial expressions and what they're saying to you and forgetting that you're standing there and also part of this conversation, or forgetting that you're in a couch in your house and there's a time, there's a place, there's an agenda. You're not just all of a sudden lost in the story or the movie. Learning to stop thinking constantly when we don't need to. This reduces stress tremendously, helps us sleep better, reduces anger. It all helps to conserve energy. And with that energy comes zeal. So now let's go over the principle of sacrifice. In order to receive wisdom and regular insights in meditation, you need to earn it through service. This may come as a surprise because many of us have the idea that forest and cave monks just sit all day and all night and find liberation through solitude and constant meditation. And there is some truth to this, but the reality is these monks still need to provide regular service in order to be supported by their being along their journey. And some of these practitioners were kind of born and raised in a Buddhist country or city. So they already had a good lifestyle to begin with. They didn't accrue so much karma that now they're in so much debt they have to work every hour, every waking hour just to get by. Because the modern people, the way our lifestyle is, we have to work very hard we have to work against our karma. Also, their mind is less conditioned because of that lifestyle. So they can stay in nirvana or the jhanas all day because their energy is good and their mind is stable. They don't have the karma that pulls them down all the time. So they can do that, but a lot of people can't. It requires energy to be in nirvana, in meditation. It requires energy to be in the jhanas or samadhi. If you were to attempt to meditate 4 to 6 hours a day, practicing analytical meditation, as the Samael had explained, as he once recommended in a public lecture, you would in fact run out of Dharma funds after the first 3 hours. Yeah, most likely for most of us. And your guides would tell you to take a break. Tara or your innermost would tell you to come back next week or later after you've replenished your daily Dharma income. It's only jhana and samadhi meditation that can be practiced for extended periods of time without a surplus of Dharma, because these kinds of meditations aren't necessarily providing specific insights, but they're just the result of extensive training in concentration and previous work on the ego. So we're heavily burdened with karma. Ideally, all of us should be providing as much service as we can, constantly, if possible. We should utilize every waking hour we have, really. At least don't let a day go by without doing something. I know that's hard, but it's possible. There are some ways to do this, but you have to find your personal way of helping people. So we have a lot of debt, and we have a great amount of conditioning in our mind to conquer. And comprehension just doesn't come for free. Now, many people are able to get by on the elemental path, providing service to others once or twice a week. But others will find that their inner being demands a lot more, anywhere between once every 2 days to every waking hour, as I mentioned. So find the window of time in your day that works for you and see how much you can do every week. Your being will let you know in meditation or in your dreams. You have to pay attention to your dreams every night, right? And remember them every morning. They will let you know whether or not you're doing enough. Teaching the Dharma now is the highest service you can provide. If you've chosen this means of helping others, I recommend that you use as many tools as you can. And nowadays we have AI, which is really excellent in helping us with this kind of work, all sorts of work. So AI software tools and applications are great for making our workflow as efficient as possible. And you want to help as many people as possible too. It's better to help people in the masses than individually. There's just more karmic impact. Be mindful of the medium you choose. Audio lectures on YouTube don't attract as many videos, or rather viewers, if there isn't any visually stimulating video accompaniment. But however, videos can take weeks or months to complete. At the same time, videos can be very difficult to make and edit. It takes a lot of creativity. It takes a good computer. So you may want to choose other things, other mediums like presentations. Some things like PowerPoint or other programs. You can also just make slides with Canva or Photoshop and put that and render that in a video. You can consider audio lectures with shifting video imagery. You just have pictures that transition every now and then. Oh yeah, slideshow presentations are what the PowerPoints are called. Yeah, they're much easier to make than videos. They're faster because you're not dealing with. You don't have to match some kind of descriptive video with what the person is saying constantly every 2 seconds. And there's also Spotify for creators, which is a podcast tool. It's a podcast medium. And so that's just audio. It's meant to be just listened to. That's a great way to just record something with your voice or with other tools like 11 Labs or vVoicer and very quickly send your message. So to learn more, see my presentation, Tools for Dharma, using AI programs to teach Dharma efficiently. Now let's cover death. The stimulation and busyness of modern life serves as the school, that which we learn from. The training ground for Gnostic and Buddhist practitioners. Our everyday environments provide the opportunities we need to observe ourselves when our egos spontaneously emerge within us under provocation. We can use our everyday situations to gain really valuable insights into the ego's preferences and aversions and the nature of the self. Cravings for recognition, competition with colleagues, and frustration with authority figures can all serve as mirrors reflecting the ego's desires for control and validation in the workplace. The pressure to excel, the need for social approval from peers, and the pursuit of external validation through grades can all fuel the ego at school. Observing these internal reactions allows us to see the ego's attachment to external measures of worth. The desire for a perfect physique and the need to meet the performance of others are common expressions of the ego in recreation centers and gyms. Traffic jams, rude drivers, and public transportation delays can trigger impatience, anger, and a sense of entitlement on the road or in transit. So using these situations to cultivate patience and observe the arising of frustration can lead to a deeper understanding of forbearance. Mindful breathing will help regulate your emotions and bring inner peace amidst the outer chaos. At the end of the day, our minds have accumulated a collection of impressions to inspect in the daily practice of retrospection meditation. This is the central practice that brings forth comprehension and spiritual growth. Throughout the day, the events that unfold and the subsequent feelings that arise provide us with memories and impressions that we have that give us the opportunity to digest and comprehend. Upon comprehension, our conscience has confirmed that we have understood the truth of our given situation or feeling and are ready to be purified. Then the elimination of that particular ego will be revealed to us in a symbolic dream the next time we sleep. For this reason, it's good to practice retrospection meditation in the evening when the body is tired and the mind is full of troubles and confusions and agendas. And just like how it's easier to remember your dreams or to remember a dream when you try to remember the events in reverse sequence, it's very effective to review your day by working backwards. As for how long you should meditate every day, Samuel explains that he said in a lecture that a serious Gnostic meditates between 4 to 6 hours a day. However, what you'll find soon is that for analytical meditation, it may only take a few minutes to an hour or so to receive all the comprehensions you need for the day. After this, your being will not have any substantial advice specific to your current problems. You'll be able to tell when this happens, when your insights become mundane or simply come in the form of entertaining dreams. After you've been shown profound truths, you may be suggested to clean your room or give your mom or dad a call or wear fresh underwear before bed and so on. So when you fall asleep, instead of receiving insights, you find yourself having highly vivid and entertaining dreams. So they come when you no longer have significant impressions to comprehend. You can meditate once a day or as frequently as you like and every day. In fact, practicing meditation a few times a day is a really great way to train your mind to relax and shift into a meditative state much quicker whenever you need to. So first thing in the morning, as soon as you wake up, is also a good time to practice, since the body is still tired and the brain is still vibrating in an alpha state, which is really conducive to meditation. Getting those dream insights, those dream imagery and sounds that are still lingering in your mind when you're awake, but not fully. So if you can sustain that in the drowsy state, that's great. Finally, for those who are practicing Tantra, tantric sex should generally be practiced no more than once a day. If you're starting off, you will need to pre-fuel your etheric system first by performing something like 5 to 10 minutes of pranayama before, probably before each session, but definitely when you're very new to this. The length of your sessions will vary depending on a few factors like your age and vital health. So consult your innermost in meditation before attempting Tantra. Sabbe Satta Sukhi Hontu.